Welcome to the 4th edition of the 2017 OCFOA Plays of the Week. Many of the plays that are presented in this video were sent to us by CIF Rules Interpreter Steve Coover. Steve also supplied most of the comments that you see as text on the video. This presentation was approved by OCFOA Instructional Chairman Chad Wilson. I'm your host, Mark Andrews. Before I start, I want to give a big shout out to my association. I've been using more and more clips from our association's huddle video for these presentations. Initially, I was hesitant to use video from our association for fear of alienating people that I consider to be friends. Rather than object to my use of their plays, I have received a lot of support and encouragement. I really appreciate the attitude of sharing and understanding that this is all in an effort to make everyone better. Thanks, guys. Before we begin our discussion regarding illegal contact in general and illegal contact on a defenseless receiver, I'd like to show you a couple plays that came in this week. They both involve fumbles that were ruled down by contact prior to the fumble by the referee. I want to show these because if a crew is truly working together and they trust each other, then the referee can rely on his flanks to help him with this call. Flank officials, if you see the ball come out and you have absolute knowledge that the runner was not down, then you should immediately beanbag the location of the fumble and continue to officiate. Conversely, if you have absolute knowledge that the runner was down prior to the fumble, then you need to immediately whistle the play dead and signal the next down. Referees, you need to give your flank officials the opportunity to rule on the ball being out, unless of course you have absolute knowledge of the runner being down, or not. Let's take a look at the plays. We're going to see the quarterback take the snap and roll to his left, being pursued by the defense. Now obviously the referee is looking through the back of this play. Here he is ruling the runner down by contact. If we take a look at it in slow motion, we'll see that the runner indeed was not down when the ball came out. And this is where the flank official has to react. As soon as this ball is out, he needs a beanbag down. Referee needs to be looking for that beanbag or some sort of ruling by his flank official. And then if he doesn't get one, he's on his own. This next play is very similar to the previous play in that the referee is making a ruling, but he's looking through the back of the runner. You can see the ball comes out just as the runner is going down. The quality of the video is not good enough to determine whether the ball was out before the runner was down, but the referee is making the call because the flank is not. Flanks, we got to do something here. We either rule a fumble or we rule the runner down. What we don't do is stand on the sideline doing nothing. I have received a lot of inquiries from officials and coaches regarding excessive contact on a defenseless receiver. Most people send me a play or describe a hit and then ask, is this hit legal? The rules have changed a lot with regard to protecting defenseless players and receivers. New for 2017 is an expansion of the definition of a defenseless player. Rule 2, Section 32, Article 16 used to read, a defenseless player is a player who, because of his physical position and focus of concentration, is especially vulnerable to injury. New for 2017 was the addition to the rule which states a player who initiates contact against a defenseless player is responsible for making legal contact. When in question, a player is defenseless. Also new for 2017 were the addition of 8 specific examples of defenseless players. The example that we are concerned with for the purpose of this discussion is the second one. A receiver attempting to catch a pass who has not had time to clearly become a runner. Prior to discussing the new rule regarding defenseless players, I showed 3 clips of hits on receivers. Just 3 years ago, those hits were all deemed legal. Under today's rules, those are all illegal hits. Rather than trying to review the criteria for illegal contact, let's go over the criteria for legal contact on a defenseless receiver. The 4 components of legal contact are a lowering of the target, keeping the head and helmet to the side of the opponent, wrapping or tackling the opponent, and lastly, playing the ball. So how do those four components play into our judgment on legal contact? Let's take playing the ball. If we determine that the defender is making a legitimate play on the ball and there's hard contact between himself and the receiver, that is probably legal contact. If we had hard contact that involves a wrapping tackle with the head and the helmet outside of the receiver's body and in the strike zone, which is above the knees and below the top of the numbers, then we probably have legal contact. Notice I used the word probably. There are no absolutes here. Deeming the contact legal or illegal ultimately comes down to the official's judgment. Now let's take a look at some pass plays that involve hard contact on a defenseless receiver. Before we talk about the contact, take a look at the head coach here, getting his sideline back. Obviously, he watched last week's plays of the week and knows how rigorously we are enforcing the restricted area. I'm going to run the play in real time and then in slow motion, and then we'll talk about the legal or illegal aspects of the contact. Watching this play in slow motion, we can see that the receiver is truly defenseless. The linebacker makes no attempt to play the ball, and although there is a slight wrap, notice where his helmet is. The contact is through the receiver's chest by the defender's helmet, which causes a violent whiplash effect. The defender's intent is to punish and ultimately dislodge the ball from the receiver. This is illegal contact. This is a play that comes from Steve Coover in San Diego. On this play, we're going to see a defenseless receiver miss the reception of the pass and then be contacted by the defensive back. As Steve points out, the safety must make a play on the ball or attempt a form tackle on the receiver. The defensive back may no longer hit a defenseless receiver in an attempt to dislodge the ball. Here's another play from Steve Coover. On this play, we will see the receiver make the reception and the defensive back dislodge the ball. Again, note Steve's comment. Personal foul for excessive contact to a defenseless receiver. No attempt to play the ball. No attempt to form tackle. Only attempt was to do harm. As we watch this again in slow motion, look at the defensive back. He is not playing the ball at all. He is playing the receiver. He punishes the receiver with a shot high. And also note what he does next. He's going to step over the receiver. That could definitely be taunting. And if so, we'd have two fouls in the play. One for personal foul for the excessive contact on the defenseless receiver, and the other one for unsportsmanlike conduct. Let's move away from the typical type of illegal contact on a defenseless receiver and look at a couple of plays that involve unusual contact on a defenseless receiver, but the contact is still a personal foul for excessive contact. On this play, we are going to see the defensive back make no attempt to play the ball, and there is no attempt to form tackle. Instead, he plays through the airborne receiver, hitting him with a shoulder below the waist, causing him to land awkwardly on his head and neck. Again, after the hit, we have the defender taunting the receiver. The taunt is an unsportsmanlike foul in itself, but this guy actually makes contact with the receiver, who's obviously a little groggy, and knocks him to the ground again. Why did we miss this? Guys, remember, we've got to officiate until colors separate. This next play again comes from Steve Coover down in San Diego. Steve points out the safety makes no attempt on the ball or an attempt to make a form tackle. He attempts to punish the defenseless receiver. This is a personal foul for illegal contact, excessive contact to a defenseless receiver. Now watch this. It's very similar to the previous play. Receiver's up high, He's clearly defenseless. The defender has all day to decide where he's going to hit him, and he hits him low, causes him to flip. That could be a serious injury. Before I go, I had to show you this one. This has been making the rounds on social media. Now notice where the three coaches are. This crew didn't get the memo on a restricted area training. So take a look at the result of this. A big guy gets excited. He's going to high five. Oh, looks like a serious injury. Just another reason why we have to keep the restricted area enforced and keep the coaches in the coaches box. Well, that's it for another edition of the OCFOA Plays of the Week. Thanks to all of you who have subscribed to my YouTube channel. Please feel free to tell your fellow officials about these videos, and feel free to use them as you see fit for your association's own instructional purposes. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below the video. I try to answer all questions within a day. If you haven't already done so, please take a look at the 2016 CFOA film study on excessive contact on a defenseless receiver. You can click on the box in the upper left to go directly to that video. If you'd like to subscribe to my YouTube channel, just click on my picture. This is Mark Andrews signing off.